Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here. Today we got 10 builds to try in 7.39. Some are crazy, some are not. We got a little bit of mix for, you players who really like to be spicy and go off the meta, and just the type of player who wants to pick what's good and win games based on his hero choice. So let's get into it, waste no time. Heroes of the patch, 10 of them, 7.39. On top of that, go sign up to the Game League website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. So the first one is Dark Willow. This one's going to be pretty boring. Basically, they buffed her innate. Now, when she's in Shadow Realm, she gets a 150% regen bonus. This works on items like Clarities, Salves, and Tangos. So here's what I recommend. If you're going to play Dark Willow this patch, because I think it's actually a really good support, what you should do in the laning stage is I recommend skilling your W at level 1. The only time you should skill your Q is for a first blood attempt. Skill your W at level 1, take a trade, lose a bit of health, then use your W to disengage from that trade, pop a Tango, well, you should pop the Tango first, use your W. That W gives your Tango 1.5 times effectiveness. It's crazy. And sure, it doesn't last forever. It's not like Shadow Realm lasts some crazy amount of time, but this adds up. It gives you an extra like 50, 60, 70 health. That matters a lot. And so what you should do is trade, use Shadow Realm, obviously do damage with the Shadow Realm to the forward, to the offlaner, or, to the carry, to the 5, wherever you are, and rinse, repeat. Then in terms of the game, because honestly, that's the main thing I wanted to cover. I'm going to go quick for this build for Willow. The main thing I would say in terms of items in the mid game, Yules, Blink Dagger, Atos, just really anything that's going to allow you to initiate and maybe will give you a bit of mana, right? I like Yules and I like Atos because they kind of set up for her other spells and allow her to close the gap while giving Dark Willow a mana pool. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Just want to talk about that buff and what you should do in the laning stage. Okay, number 2 is Omni Knight with Radiance. This is obviously going to be more so a carry Omni Knight, but of course it can be played off lane, and I actually think it can be played mid into melee heroes. So I think Omni specifically is very good against heroes like Ember, Void Spirit, mid. Right, just because you have 2 melee nukes that are very effective against melee heroes. So why Radiance, and what do they buff about Omni Knight? Well, basically his E doesn't cost any mana now. It also has extra range and slows. So this hero got a very big buff for his ability to be, I would say, primarily a core, because support Omni Knight, I mean, you can use the E to trade, and it is still better for that, but at the end of the day, you want to max this ability out, get it down to a 4-second cooldown, and really take advantage of the fact that it's a high damage spell. If you are a core and you have damage items. And so Radiance, well, it's not that hard to understand. I mean, the items you should buy before it are like Wand, Raindrops, Phase Boots, Bracer, a bunch of stats. Then you pick up your Radiance and you farm. You're kind of like the Abaddon of last patch. You guys might have seen a lot of the pro games where they're going to play Abaddon and the Abaddon buys Radiance. And the idea is simple. Tanky guy running with Radiance. Now, Radiance is a nerfed item. For sure, it lost 5% evasion, but it's still a great farming item for these strength heroes. It's still very high damage, and it makes a lot of sense with Omni Knight's kit. After that, you should generally be buying a Blink Dagger to play tempo, or Sanjin Yasha, right? You're just going to be tanky, fast, run in, you have repel, so you don't have to buy a BKB. I will say though, buying BKB later on is a very good idea. So typically, it's going to be some sort of Radiance. With S and Y, Blink Dagger, you can go into a Satanic to have synergy with the S and Y later on. You can pick up an Orchid after you have S and Y, so you have a bit of a mana pool and solo kill potential with Blink Dagger. There's a lot of things, a lot of avenues you can go, but just want to put it on the table that this hero is a much better laner now, and in my opinion is a super solid core. Okay, next up is actually 2 heroes. There isn't too much to say. It's Legion and Axe. I kind of put them together here because really they're just better. They're some of the best heroes of this patch. And so if you're looking for something meta to play off lane, it's going to be the Blade Mail Blink Dagger Initiators. They're both very strong laners, strong early game, get a lot of kills, scale pretty well. Axe can scale with like Octarine Refresher. Legion just naturally scales with Duel. And so, yeah, I mean, just good heroes. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is Mera carry. Now, I will like to specifically recommend trying it out with Io if you're playing with a friend. This combo is really cool. It's been cool for a long time. Mera is just even better now. So Mera got a new facet that makes it where when she hits a gunslinger, when she hits a Deadshot, it increases the gunslinger chance by 50%. So you are gunslingering like crazy, or double procking or double shooting like crazy. And so, yeah, the hero is a much better carry due to this new facet, giving her more gunslinger and more dead shots. However, I'd also like to say that a lot of carries are much worse this patch. It was actually a pretty heavy carry nerf patch. And why is it good with Io? Io specifically gives Mera what she wants. healing. This hero has major sustain issues in the early game. She has no form of healing in the early game. Spell Amp. IO gives Spell Amp and attack speed. All Muerta needs is attack speed to proc Gunslinger and to take advantage of the fact that her ultimate, Pierce the Veil, is flat damage. It just gives her damage. When you have damage in Dota, you want attack speed. It's pretty straightforward. So yeah, IO literally makes Muerta's auto attacks do more damage because Muerta's ulti makes her do magic damage. So not only does IO make Muerta hit faster, it literally is damage amp. So it is, I mean, if you haven't seen this combo, it's beyond high DPS. It might be like the highest single target DPS in the game. By the way, I'd also like to mention that last patch, Muerta kind of got this pseudo buff to her carry where Gunslinger prioritizes heroes. Now, it didn't matter at the time because the hero wasn't really playable as a carry, but with this new facet, you can. So it basically got buffed back to back. So yeah, really, really cool. In terms of items, it's just like Treads, Wand, Raindrops. You need a lot of mana. Null Talisman, Maelstrom, Hurricane Pike, Mjolnir, BKB. Like, you want to get the Maelstrom, sometimes you immediately go Mjolnir if you're just AFK farming. I would say if you're playing with an IO, don't finish Mjolnir, you don't need the attack speed, just buy like a Pike and be tanky. Okay, next up is Veno offlane. So Veno offlane is something that I think takes advantage of a couple of things that I like this patch. First of all is Vessel, right? You guys know I'm a fan of this item. If you've been watching the channel, you know I like this item. I don't think, like here's the problem with Vessel. It doesn't exactly scale into the late game if people are buying good items. That is the flaw of the item. But in general, it's just such a nice tempo item. 70% heal reduction, guys. And now it's such a better item. It builds from Circlet, which is perfect for universal heroes because you get to buy that item in the laning stage, which is so convenient. It gives a ton of stats, so you have better right-click damage. And this Veno offlane is really cool now. His new facet makes sure when you hit a Gale, you get Plague Wards, and Plague Wards have Septic Shock, so they do bonus damage basically based on how many like debuffs you put on the enemy. So that includes your Gale, it includes Urn, which is so cool, right? The wards do more damage to whoever you earn. It includes Blightstone, Orb of Frost. It includes your ult. Like, you can really apply a lot of debuffs and make your wards hit really hard. And basically, all I suggest is that your first item should be like Bracer, right? So you get a little bit tanky in the lane. You should have a Blightstone. You should have Boots, Wand. Then you buy an Urn. Some people even like to rush Urn over the Bracer, which is fine too. I just think the more stats, the better. You're just trying to get through the early game. You want to max your Plague Wards. And if the lane goes bad, which frankly it might, just go jungle. Take Ancients. At level 5, you can easily take Ancients. You can take them at level 3, like very easily, and it's very efficient. So you can farm all the back camps in the offlane if your lane goes poorly. If your lane goes great, wonderful. You're going to completely control the area. Plague Wards now give less gold and have more HP in the early levels, so they are very dominant compared to what they used to be. So yeah, big fan of Veno offlane. I think essentially just go Vessel. I think the next best item is actually Force Staff, and then you buy Treads, Hurricane Pike. Veno also has this really interesting 20 talent that is 50 damage. Pretty funny that he just has that, but he does. And yeah, so the Vessel gives you stats, the Pike gives you stats. Then after that, I mean, there's a lot of things you can buy. You can be a complete memer and buy a Scotty, so you just have a billion stats. But yeah, pretty cool. Okay, next up is Venge offlane. Not going to spend a lot of time on this one. The hero just got number buffs when it was already a good hero. It was already a hero I actually suggested in a ton of videos to play offlane with Ags, and it's better now, so you can give it a shot. Okay, next up is a pretty fun one. It's CK support. You might have seen it. I'm probably going to make a video on it. In the pro scene, BetBoom played it twice. And what's good about it? Well, there's a couple things. Honestly, CK is just like a fine support. It fills a lot of the qualities. It has a stun. It has repositioning, armor reduction, and scouting capabilities, right? Its ultimate, the illusions, can be used to scout and push waves. So the hero does, by the way, it also has great base stats. It's also a very fast hero. So it's good at roaming, moving to water runes, ganking mid, ganking side lanes. It's one of the best ganking heroes in the game. I mean, this hero TPing to the safe lane is very, very strong, very scary. And really what ties it all together is the buff and the facet Cloven Chaos, which makes the stun bounce and it prioritizes heroes. So basically, they buff the stun, it does more damage at max now. So it makes a lot of sense to play it sup and max the stun, or eventually max the stun at least. And yeah, basically, you just roam. You're just a stunner. It's very good with some of the meta heroes. For instance, I love it with the Venge offlane. I like it with the Veno offlane. I like it with things like Enigma, Darkseer. You know, a lot of Legion is a pretty nasty lane. Even things like Axe can be very good with CK. And so yeah, there's a lot of good pairs, I would say, in the meta. And yeah, it's just fun. In terms of items, what I generally recommend is some sort of drums. Big fan of drums. The reason why, it's nice stats, gives you some strength, some int, it gives you attack speed, and that attack speed is going to let you kill sups, right? And in team fights, you can easily kill sups. So you're going to go wand, treads, raindrops into drums. That's the build I prefer the most. I think it just makes a lot of sense, and it allows you to kind of scale into the game, because after the drums, you even have the option to buy something kind of crazy like you could go blink and try to solo kill people. You could go armlet, be complete psycho and really play to scale. You know, you have different avenues. Okay, next up is Oracle. I just think it's similar to Venge. I'm not going to spend as much time. I think Oracle is it's just a good hero, especially for pubs. Man, if you get this hero into the mid game with good levels, it's elite. It heals for 1 billion. It has a dispel. It has magic immunity and a disarm. It's higher cast range on the W now. It was 500 at level 1 last patch. Now it's 700, nearly an Aether Lens improvement. Yes, it's worse at max level, but I mean, it's still just absolutely above. I mean, the value point in the W is just incredible. And so, yeah, I mean, I just think that this hero is great. I think it does a lot of good stuff. Besides the laning stage, it's not a great laner. It's just a very average, I would say below average laner. That's the downside. You know, you don't want to play an Oracle Spectre lane. There's a good chance if they pick anything remotely good, an Enigma, a Beastmaster, and, you know, even things like Axe, even though, funny enough, this hero is actually like okay against Axe in the lane because you can dispel battle hunger, which is kind of nice. But yeah, love this hero. Also, this patch, you say where the root is with your innate and what it is, which actually is crazy useful. When you know that there's an arcane rune going bottom minute 6 and you had a Storm Spirit, you know you can bring everyone to that rune and make sure that Storm gets his regen, his haste minute 6, his arcane in the mid game, you know, stuff like that. It's just so OP with certain combos. I would say Storm is definitely one of the best ones. Okay, next up is Disruptor. So Disruptor is great. I'm going to give the build that I like. This hero is one of the best in the game right now. I really believe in Disruptor. They just gave him a bit too much. Primarily the fact that your Q is now a 0.8 second slow is, I mean, it's a crazy number. I just want to give you guys some reference. The Q was a 0.1 second slow that scaled up in previous patches. It was 0.1, then 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, depending on the level, right? Then, a patch sort of long ago, it got buffed to 0.4 flat. That was a big deal, and when that happened, Disruptor became pretty meta, because also the Q is like a better spell. It was lower mana, but now the Q is a 0.8 if you take the fast that makes it do that. 0.8, 100% movement speed, attack speed slow, like, it's a crazy number, and I really like playing around it. How do you play around it? Well, you go mana boots, and then you buy your shard and an Aether Lens. Basically, the shard, it also used to be better, which is part of the reason the hero was meta in the past. It used to be better, but the shard lets you place your Q on the ground, click it in blind areas, which is great. You can scout and hit people that you can't see, which is awesome for setting up glimpse and just scouting areas. But it also increases the tick by 1. So that's nice. It's a great scouting tool, increases the damage. And also, this hero has so much going for it to play around the Q. The shard, and more importantly, I would argue, the 10 talent. Disruptor's 10 talent is incremental damage on his Q, which basically means that like every tick of the Q does more damage. It's 15 more, so it's like 15, then 30, then 45, then 60. And this ability just like does 1 billion damage. It's insane control, it's vision, and it's crazy damage. And if you buy Shard Aether Glimmer, you can actually just like solo kill people by staying in the back and clicking your Q, especially on subs. You can just kill them. So yeah, and then you also just have like Glimpse, which is high damage. Your E ulti is like, I really think Disruptor, I honestly thought it was undervalued last patch because its Static Storm is just like a good matchup against certain heroes. Like for instance, it was good against Morphling, and it's like a low cooldown. It's like a 90-second cooldown for how good that spell is. So yeah, big fan of this hero. I think it's extremely good, very valuable. And by the way, it scales hella into the late game. Its Ags just is a Doom. I mean, you can't understate that. It's just a Doom. If they don't have a save, it's just a Doom. So yeah, I mean, this hero's late game is nasty. I mean, Insania, I think he lost the games he was doing this, but that could be for a variety of reasons. He was buying Midas, and I don't blame him. I mean, if you can get into the late game with levels, because you actually want to max out all 3 of your abilities. You like really want to max your Q, which is the build I recommend with the Mana Boot Shard Aether. You want to max Glimpse first, and then max your Q. and then max your E, but like maxing your E last kind of sucks because it makes your ulti worse. But like, I like the trade-off because I just think that the Q is nasty this patch with everything you can do to buff it. But yeah, I like Insania, like he's buying a Midas, and I think he's going like 2-4-4. You know what I mean? 2 points in the Q because it just scales well from 1 to 2 because it's 25 damage to 55 damage. And then he's like maxing WE. And you can, you know, go Midas Ags, like Midas Blink Ags, you know what I mean? And you can like be a menace, and then you get a GPM talent, you get a refresher, and like you become like the hero. Okay, the last build is one I saved for last intentionally, so all the haters are gone. All the people who left their shitty comments are now gone. I can talk about my hyper weird crazy stuff that almost no one will care about, and that is Spider Brood. So Brood historically has had builds that plays around the spiders, and it mainly revolves around drums and pipe, and that is what I'm going to be recommending to buy. But why now? Why this patch? It got a major buff. The Brood Spider build got a major buff. That major buff revolves around, I would say, a couple things. Number one, I'm a big fan of the Kobold thingy on Brood. It just makes you like really be able to get on top of people, and it's AoE, so it works on the spiders, the movement, 10% movement speed, so I love that for gap close. Even though you kind of want to take a mana neutral item, now that Mana Drought is tier 2, like there's not much contest. But what did they do to the Brood to really make this viable? Now, number one, they just buffed Brood's like ability to heal early on. They just buffed that. But the 15 talent is 12. Oh my god, I hate this word. Incapacitating bite. I think I said that right. 12. Guys, the ability at max is 8 bonus damage. Now, you might not understand what this ability is. It's what makes the spiders hit for a billion. So basically, if you don't play Brood, Brood has to hit you for the spiders to do damage. If Brood just puts spiders on you, they're not going to do that much because you're not going to be slowed most of the time, and the Brood hasn't put the E on you. So when Brood hits you, it puts bonus damage on you. Bonus damage that works on the Brood and also on Spiderlings and on like Helmdom. Don't buy Helmdom. Yeah, actually, it's not that bad, but don't buy Helmdom. Now when you hit level 15, it was buffed this patch from level 20. Like, Valve sometimes just likes to do this where they just make like 20 and 25 talents just like part of their early game, and it frequently is broken. And I think this is an example where like it's good. I don't think it's broken, but I think it's good. 12. Guys, it's like 125% damage amp. I mean, all you need is drums, pipes, so your spiders don't die. After that, I mean, you can buy a lot of items. You can buy Orchid, you know, so that they can't like fight back. You can buy Octarine, so you have more spiders, which I actually do like. You can buy AC for more attack speed. So there, I mean, you can just kind of like become like an Aura bot, like Crimson, and you know, Crimson Pipe, you know, Octarine AC is like a reasonable build with drums. Drums are very important, very important. You want to click the drums. And so yeah, this 15 talent, I mean, just go try it out, guys. Like the damage is just goofy stuff. But yeah, that's going to be all for today's video. I have more builds I actually want to discuss. This patch actually has a lot of new and interesting meta. It was quite a fun patch in my eyes. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going, keep making these. I got another one probably cooking up in like a week or so, maybe 3-4 days. I don't know. I got a lot of videos coming, a lot of builds I want to show off. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And I'm out.
And that's all. But remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.